A poor single father battling cancer spent 20 years working tirelessly to raise his daughter, only to receive cold, distant text messages in return. Then one fateful day, the construction site where he worked collapsed, trapping him deep underground with a young engineer. Knowing he didn't have much time left, the father chose to give the only chance of rescue to the younger man. He had no regrets about his decision, only sorrow for everything he never had the chance to give his daughter. What he never knew was that the young engineer was actually the company's CEO, and what the CEO does next will bring you to tears. Before we dive in this story, let us know where you watching from. We love to hear your thought. The alarm clock screamed at 4:30 in the morning, but Samuel Johnson was already awake. He'd been awake for the past hour, actually, lying in the darkness and listening to his own breathing. Each breath came with a small burning sensation in his chest, like someone was holding a lit match just beneath his ribs. He reached over and silenced the alarm before it could finish its first ring. The room fell quiet again. In the silence he could almost hear her. Margaret, his wife, gone 11 years now, but some mornings, in that space between sleep and waking, he forgot. Reached across the bed expecting warmth and found only cold sheets. Sam sat up slowly, carefully, the way you'd move if you were carrying something fragile inside your body, which, in a way, he was. The cough came without warning. It always did. One moment he was fine, the next his whole body was convulsing, his hand flying to his mouth. When he pulled it away, there were dark spots on his palm, not much, just enough to remind him. He stood and walked to the bathroom, his bare feet cold against the linoleum floor. He turned on the faucet and washed his hands, watching the water run pink and then clear. In the mirror, a 59-year-old man stared back at him. Thin, too thin. The kind of thin that made people ask if you were eating enough. He opened the medicine cabinet. Behind the shaving cream and the old bottle of aspirin, tucked in the back where no one would think to look, was a pill bottle. The label was long, full of words he couldn't pronounce. The price tag was still on it. $247 for 30 pills. He was supposed to take 2 a day. He'd been taking 1. Sam dry swallowed a pill and closed the cabinet. His reflection disappeared. That was fine. He didn't need to look at himself anyway. Margaret used to say he was handsome, used to run her fingers through his hair in the morning and tell him he looked distinguished. But Margaret had been gone since Lucy was 9 years old. Cancer, same as what was eating him now. Different kind, same ending. Downstairs he made coffee. The kitchen was exactly as Margaret had left it. Same yellow curtains, same ceramic rooster on the windowsill. Same chip in the counter where Lucy had dropped a plate when she was 12. Sam had never changed anything. Couldn't bring himself to. He checked his phone while he waited for the coffee. One new message from Lucy. His daughter, sent at 11:42 last night. Dad, don't forget tuition is due Friday. No hello, no how are you. Just a reminder. A bill. Sam read it twice, then set the phone face down on the counter. 20 years. 20 years he'd raised her alone, changed diapers alone, packed school lunches alone, sat through parent-teacher conferences alone, while other kids had 2 parents asking questions. He'd been mother and father both, working double shifts to afford it all, coming home to an empty house that used to be full. The coffee finished brewing. He poured half a cup, added 3 sugars the way Margaret used to make it, drank it standing up. His lunch was already packed from the night before. Peanut butter sandwich, an apple, a bottle of water. Same lunch he'd been packing for 37 years. On the refrigerator, held by a magnet, was a photo. Lucy's high school graduation. She was smiling, cap and gown, diploma in hand. Sam was next to her, also smiling, though you could see the exhaustion in his eyes if you looked close enough. That had been 2 years ago. The last time she'd hugged him. Sam grabbed his lunchbox, grabbed his thermos, grabbed his keys, paused at the front door, looked back at the empty house, the silent rooms, the life he'd built alone. He started the engine. The construction site was already humming with activity when Sam arrived. Men in hard hats and high-visibility vests moved like ants across the skeletal frame of what would someday be an office building. The air smelled like diesel fuel and fresh concrete. Sam clocked in, grabbed his gear, and headed toward the scaffolding on the east side. His toolbox felt heavier than usual. Everything felt heavier than usual these days. "Johnson, you're on foundation inspection today." Sam turned. It was Miller, the site supervisor, a broad man with a red face and a voice that carried across the entire site without effort. "Foundation," Sam said. "Yeah, got a new engineer coming by to check the old section. You know it better than anyone. Show him around, make sure he doesn't break his neck." Sam nodded. Foundation work meant climbing down into the inspection pits, crawling through tight spaces, breathing in dust and dampness. It meant his chest would hurt. It meant he'd be coughing up blood by lunchtime. "Sure thing," Sam said. Miller clapped him on the shoulder, hard enough to sting. "Good man. Engineer should be here around 8. Sam walked toward the foundation pits, his boots crunching on gravel. 37 years of this. 37 years of building things for other people while his own life crumbled. Margaret gone, Lucy grown and distant. His body failing, but he couldn't stop. Stopping meant no money. No money meant Lucy's tuition didn't get paid. And if Lucy's tuition didn't get paid, then what had the last 20 years been for? He climbed down the ladder into the inspection pit, the temperature dropping as he descended below ground level. Down here it was darker, quieter. Just him and the concrete and the earth. He pulled out his flashlight and began his inspection, running his hand along the foundation wall, looking for cracks, for moisture, for anything that didn't belong. His fingers found the familiar roughness of concrete, the occasional smooth patch where someone had done repair work months ago. The cough came again, worse this time. Sam doubled over, his flashlight clattering to the ground. He pressed his hand to his mouth and waited for it to pass. When it finally did, his palm was wet with more than spit. He wiped his hand on his jeans, picked up the flashlight, kept working. Margaret's voice, a memory. "Sam, you work too hard. You'll kill yourself." "I'm fine," he'd told her, always told her. He hadn't been fine then. He wasn't fine now. By the time Sam climbed back up to ground level, the sun was bright and merciless. He squinted against it, his eyes taking a moment to adjust. His shirt was soaked with sweat, his chest felt like someone had been hitting it with a hammer. "You Johnson." Sam turned. A young man stood a few feet away, maybe late 20s, dressed too nicely for a construction site. Clean jeans, a button-up shirt that probably cost more than Sam made in a week. Dark hair, sharp eyes that seemed to notice everything. "Yeah," Sam said. "You the engineer." "Ethan." The young man extended his hand. Sam shook it. Firm grip, confident. The kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about next month's rent. "Miller says you need to see the old foundation," Sam said. "If it's not too much trouble." Sam almost laughed. Trouble. Everything was trouble these days. Breathing was trouble. Standing was trouble. Living was trouble. "No trouble," Sam said. "Follow me." They reached the ladder. Sam started down first, his movements automatic, muscle memory taking over. Halfway down, he had to stop, had to close his eyes and breathe through another wave of pain. He waited for it to pass, then continued. Ethan followed, his descent more cautious. When they both reached the bottom, Sam flicked on his flashlight. "This is the oldest section," Sam said. "Foundation was poured about 8 months ago. Should be fully cured by now." Ethan pulled out his own flashlight, an expensive-looking thing that was probably brighter than a car headlight. He began examining the walls, running his hand along the surface the same way Sam had done earlier. "You notice any issues?" Ethan asked. Sam hesitated. He had noticed something. A hairline crack, barely visible, running vertically along the eastern wall. Probably nothing. Probably just settling. But probably wasn't the same as certainly, and in construction, probably could get people killed. "There's a crack," Sam said. "East wall, might be nothing." Ethan moved toward it immediately. He crouched down, shining his light along the crack, his expression unreadable. "How long has this been here?" Ethan asked. "Hard to say. Could be new, could be old. I only noticed it this morning." Ethan stood, his eyes moving across the rest of the foundation, searching. There was something different about the way he looked at things. Not like the other engineers Sam had worked with, who showed up with clipboards and spent 10 minutes pretending to understand what they were looking at. Ethan looked like he actually saw something. We should probably get a structural assessment, Ethan said. Probably, Sam agreed. They stood there for a moment in the dim light, two men underground, surrounded by concrete and earth, and the weight of everything above them. Then Sam heard it. A sound, faint. Like a sigh. Like the building was breathing. Did you hear that? Sam asked. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. They both looked up at the ceiling, at the concrete above their heads, at the tons of steel and stone that suddenly didn't feel quite as solid as it should. We should go, Sam said. Yeah, Ethan said. We should. But before either of them could move, the world came down. The sound came first. Not an explosion, exactly. More like a roar, like something massive giving up, giving in, surrendering to gravity and physics and inevitability. Then the shaking, then the darkness. Sam didn't remember falling. One moment he was standing, the next he was on his hands and knees, concrete dust filling his mouth, his nose, his lungs. He tried to breathe and couldn't. Tried to see and couldn't. The world had become nothing but noise and chaos, and the terrible certainty that he was going to die here. The shaking stopped. The roaring stopped. Everything stopped. In the silence that followed, Sam became aware of his body. His left shoulder hurt. His right knee hurt. His chest hurt, but that was nothing new. His chest always hurt. Ethan, his voice came out as a croak. No answer. Sam fumbled for his flashlight. His hand found it, miraculously still intact. He clicked it on. The beam cut through the dust, revealing a world that had fundamentally changed in the span of seconds. The inspection pit had collapsed, not entirely, but enough. Concrete slabs had fallen from above, crushing the ladder they'd climbed down, blocking the exit. The space had shrunk to maybe 10 feet by 10 feet, the ceiling now low enough that Sam could touch it if he reached up. Ethan, he called again. Here. The voice came from somewhere to Sam's left. I'm here. Sam turned the flashlight. Ethan was sitting against the wall, his face pale, his shirt torn. There was blood on his forehead, a dark line running down the side of his face. You hurt? Sam asked. I don't know, maybe. Ethan lifted his hand to his head, touched the blood, looked at his fingers. Sam crawled over to him, his movements slow and painful. Up close he could see the cut wasn't too deep. Head wounds always bled a lot. It looked worse than it was. Let me see, Sam said. Ethan tilted his head. Sam examined the wound in the flashlight beam. Clean cut, probably from a piece of falling concrete. It would need stitches, but Ethan wasn't going to die from it. You'll live, Sam said. Great. Ethan's voice was shaky. How do we get out? Sam turned the flashlight toward where the ladder used to be, a pile of rubble, concrete chunks the size of cars. Rebar twisted like spaghetti. No way through, not without heavy equipment. We don't, Sam said. Not on our own, so we wait. Yeah, we wait. Sam sat down next to Ethan, his back against the cold concrete wall. He could feel the younger man shaking. Shock, probably. Or fear. Both were reasonable responses to being buried alive. They know we're down here, Sam said. Miller knew I was showing you around. They'll come looking. How long? Hard to say. Could be an hour, could be more. There's air, right? We're not going to suffocate. Sam looked around their prison. The space was small, but not airtight. He could feel a faint movement of air, coming from somewhere. A gap in the rubble maybe, or a crack in the wall. We'll be okay, Sam said. It might have been a lie. But it was the kind of lie you told when the truth wouldn't help anyone. They sat in silence for a while. Above them faintly, Sam could hear sounds. Voices. Machinery. The rescue operation beginning. People scrambling, organizing, trying to figure out how to get them out. Tell me something, Ethan said. What? Anything. I need to not think about where we are right now. Sam understood that. The walls felt closer every minute. The ceiling felt lower. Your mind could play tricks on you in the dark. I have a daughter, Sam said. Lucy, she's 20. In college. Yeah. Smart kid. Smarter than me anyway. Going to be something someday. Something important. That's good. She wants to be a lawyer, public defender, she says. Help people who can't help themselves. That's noble. That's Lucy. Sam smiled, even though Ethan probably couldn't see it in the dark. Always thinking about other people. It was a lie. Lucy hadn't thought about anyone but herself in years. But it was the daughter Sam wanted to have, even if it wasn't the daughter he did have. The coughing started again. Sam tried to suppress it, tried to hold it in, but his body had other ideas. He turned away from Ethan, covering his mouth with his hand. The cough tore through him, violent and wet. When it finally stopped, his hand was slick with blood. He wiped it on his jeans, where Ethan couldn't see. You okay? Ethan asked. Fine. Just dust. Another lie. He was getting good at those. Time passed strangely in the dark. Could have been 20 minutes. Could have been an hour. Sam had lost track. His watch had shattered at some point, during the collapse. The hands were frozen at 8:03, the moment everything changed. Above them, the sounds grew louder, more organized. Sam could hear drilling, metal on stone. They were coming. It was just a question of how fast. Sam, yeah. My head really hurts. Sam turned the flashlight on Ethan. The young man's face was even paler now. The blood had slowed, but hadn't stopped. Concussion maybe. Or worse. Stay awake, Sam said. Keep talking to me. About what? Anything. Tell me about yourself. You got family. A brother. Younger. We don't really talk much anymore. Why not? Ethan was quiet for a moment. Different paths. He thought I sold out. Maybe he was right. What do you do? Engineering, obviously. But what kind? Structural. Mostly commercial buildings. Office complexes. That kind of thing. You like it? I used to. Now I'm not sure I remember why I started. Sam understood that feeling. He'd stopped liking construction about 20 years ago, somewhere around the time his back started hurting, and the work got harder, and the pay stayed the same. But you didn't get to stop, just because you stopped liking something. You kept going, because that's what you did. The drilling got louder, closer, then it stopped. Voices drifted down from above. Muffled, indistinct. Sam could make out words but not meaning. Then a voice, clearer than the rest, calling down, "Can anyone hear me? We're here." Sam shouted. "Two of us. We're okay." A pause, then "Hang tight. We're working on getting you out." Sam looked at Ethan. "See, told you they'd come." Ethan nodded, but didn't say anything. His eyes were starting to glaze. "Not good. Ethan, stay with me. Keep your eyes open. Trying. Tell me more about your brother." "What's his name?" "Marcus. What's he do?" "Teacher, high school math. He's good at it. Better than I ever was at anything." "I bet he's proud of you." "I don't think so." The drilling started again, louder now, close enough that Sam could feel the vibration in the walls. They were making progress. Maybe another hour, maybe less. Then the vibration changed, grew stronger, unstable, and Sam understood. The collapse had weakened the entire structure. Every movement, every drill strike, every attempt to clear the rubble was making it worse. The rescue itself was causing more damage. "We have a problem," someone shouted from above. "Structure's not stable. We can only extract one at a time, maybe." Sam closed his eyes. Of course it would come to this. "Did you hear that?" The voice called down. "We can get one of you out, but we need to do it fast. Before the whole thing comes down. Who's hurt worse?" Ethan started to speak. Sam put his hand over the younger man's mouth. "The engineer," Sam called up. "Get him out first. Head injury, possible concussion. What about you?" "I'll wait. I'm fine." Ethan pulled Sam's hand away. "What are you doing?" "Saving your life." "You can't." "I can. I am." Sam looked at him in the flashlight beam. "You got a brother who needs you. You got a whole life ahead of you." He trailed off. "I got less than that." That's not your decision to make. Yeah, it is. Above them, sounds of equipment being repositioned, a harness being lowered, ropes, carabiners, the machinery of rescue. Sam, no, we can both wait, they'll figure something out. There's no time, you heard them, it's coming down. Then we both go now. Can't, you know that, I know that. Physics doesn't care what we want. The harness dropped through a gap in the rubble, swinging like a pendulum. Put it on, Sam said. I won't. Sam laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. You will, because you're young and you're scared and you want to live. There's no shame in that. If you stay here, I know what happens if I stay here. Ethan stared at him. In the flashlight beam, his eyes were wet. I have cancer, Sam said. Stage 4, lungs. I got maybe 6 months, maybe less. That's if I'm lucky, so you're not taking anything from me that wasn't already gone. Jesus, yeah. Sam picked up the harness, held it out. So put this on, let them pull you up, and when you get out, you do something for me. What? Sam pulled out his phone. Cracked screen, but still working. He scrolled through the contacts, found Lucy's number, showed it to Ethan. That's my daughter, Lucy Johnson. You call her. You tell her. Sam stopped. What could he tell her? What words would make up for all the ones he'd never said? Tell her I'm sorry. Sam said finally. Tell her I tried to do right by her. Tell her I loved her more than anything in this world. You can tell her yourself, when we get out. No, I can't. Sam pressed the phone into Ethan's hand. Promise me, you'll tell her. Ethan took the phone. His hand was shaking. I promise. Good. Sam helped Ethan into the harness. His movements automatic, professional. He'd done this before, helped a lot of people into safety equipment over the years. Never thought the last time would be underground, in the dark, with death breathing down both their necks. He tightened the straps. Checked the carabiners, gave the rope 3 sharp tugs. He's secure, Sam shouted. Pull him up. The rope went taut. Ethan rose slowly, pulled upward by invisible hands. Sam, Ethan's voice was desperate. Go, live a good life. Better than mine. Ethan disappeared through the gap in the rubble, swallowed by the darkness above, and Sam was alone. He sat down against the wall, his back sliding against the concrete. Somewhere far above, he could hear them pulling Ethan to safety, voices celebrating, someone crying, the sounds of life continuing. The coughing started again, worse than before, his whole body convulsed with it. Blood sprayed from his mouth, painting the dust-covered ground black in the flashlight beam. When it stopped, Sam could barely breathe. Each inhale was agony. Each exhale was defeat. He thought about Lucy, about her face the last time he'd seen her, 3 months ago, when she'd come home for a weekend. She'd been on her phone the whole time, texting, laughing at things he couldn't see, living a life he wasn't part of. He hoped she'd be okay, hoped she'd find her way, hoped she'd understand, someday, why he'd done what he'd done. Above him, the ceiling groaned. Sam closed his eyes. Sorry, baby girl, he whispered. I tried. The ceiling gave way, and the world went dark. Ethan broke the surface like a drowning man finding air. Hands grabbed him, pulled him, dragged him away from the hole. Someone was cutting the harness off him. Someone else was shining a light in his eyes. Voices everywhere, asking questions he couldn't process. Where's the other one? Someone asked. Still down there. Ethan gasped. Samuel Johnson, you have to go back. You have to get him out. We're trying. The structure's not. I don't care about the structure. There's a man down there. Ethan tried to stand. His legs wouldn't support him. He collapsed, hands catching him before he hit the ground. Sir, you need to stay calm. You've got a head injury. We need to get you to a hospital. No, not until. The sound cut him off. Deep, final, like the earth sighing. Everyone stopped, turned, watched. The remaining structure collapsed inward. folding on itself like a house of cards. Dust billowed up, a gray cloud that swallowed everything. Men scattered, running from the collapse zone. Alarms blared. Someone was screaming. Ethan watched it happen, watched the place where Sam was buried get buried deeper, watched any chance of rescue disappear under tons of concrete and steel. No, Ethan whispered. No, no. Someone grabbed his arm. We need to go. Now. We can't leave him. There's nothing we can do. The whole site's compromised. We have to evacuate. You don't understand. I understand. But you're alive and he saved you, and the best thing you can do right now is not waste that. Ethan let them lead him away. His feet moved automatically, disconnected from his brain. Around him, the construction site was chaos. Workers evacuating, equipment being shut down, the organized dismantling of what had been. Moments ago, a functioning workplace. An ambulance was waiting. Paramedics tried to put him on a stretcher. Ethan refused. I can walk. Sir, you're in shock. You need to. I said I can walk. Something in his voice made them back off. They followed him to the ambulance instead, one on each side, ready to catch him if he fell. Ethan climbed into the back of the ambulance and sat down. Someone was cleaning the cut on his head. Someone else was taking his blood pressure. He didn't care. His hand went to his pocket, felt the outline of Sam's phone. A promise. He'd made a promise. The ambulance doors started to close. Through the gap, Ethan could see the construction site, could see men in hard hats standing around the collapse zone, staring at the rubble, could see Miller, the site supervisor, on his phone, his face red. Then the doors closed and the view disappeared. The ambulance lurched into motion, siren wailing. Ethan closed his eyes. Behind his eyelids he could still see it. The inspection pit. The falling ceiling. Sam's face in the flashlight beam. Calm, resigned, choosing death like it was just another item on a to-do list. I have cancer, Sam had said. Stage 4, but that wasn't why he'd stayed. Ethan knew that. Sam had stayed because he was a father, and Ethan was someone's son, and in that moment, the math was simple. One old life for one young life, one used-up construction worker for one engineer with a future, except it wasn't simple. It wasn't simple at all. The hospital was a blur, bright lights, sterile hallways, people in scrubs moving with practiced efficiency. They put Ethan in a room, made him lie down, started running tests. CT scan for his head, X-rays for his ribs, blood work for reasons they didn't explain. A doctor came in. Young, professional, tired looking. You're lucky, the doctor said. Concussion, some bruising, but nothing broken. We'll keep you overnight for observation, but you should be fine. There was another man, Ethan said. Samuel Johnson. Did they bring him in? The doctor's expression changed. Became carefully neutral. I'll check. He's alive, right? They got him out. I'll check. The doctor left. Ethan sat up, ignoring the dizziness. He needed to know, needed to hear that somehow, impossibly, Sam had survived, that the rescue team had pulled off a miracle, that the story didn't end with a good man dying in the dark. Time crawled. Ethan counted ceiling tiles. 15 by 12, 180 tiles. All of them the same shade of off-white. The door opened. Not the doctor, a different man. Older, wearing a suit that cost more than most people's cars. Mr. Ethan. It wasn't a question. Ethan looked at the man, recognition slowly filtering through the fog in his head. James. Yes, sir. I came as soon as I heard. The helicopter's waiting. What are you talking about? You're at County General. I'm taking you to Mercy Presbyterian. Better facilities. I'm fine here. Nevertheless, James stepped aside. Two more men entered, both dressed in suits. Security, his security. Ethan wanted to argue, wanted to tell them to leave, that he was fine, that he could handle this on his own. But the truth was, he was exhausted. His head hurt, and he'd just watched a man die. Did they find him? Ethan asked. Samuel Johnson, the construction worker. James's expression flickered. Just for a moment. They're still working on the recovery, sir. That's not what I asked. I know. Recovery, not rescue. Recovery meant bodies. Recovery meant too late. Ethan stood. The room tilted. James caught his arm. Easy, sir. I'm fine. Of course. They led him out of the hospital, through corridors that emptied as they approached, as if James had called ahead and cleared their path. Outside, a helicopter sat on the lawn, rotors already spinning. The helicopter lifted off, carrying Ethan away from the construction site, away from the hospital, away from the place where Sam was buried. Below, the city spread out like a circuit board, thousands of lights in the growing darkness. Ethan pressed his forehead against the window. I need you to do something, Ethan said. Of course, sir. Find out everything about Samuel Johnson, where he lives, who his family is, his medical history, everything. May I ask why? Because I owe him my life, and I need to know who I'm in debt to. James nodded. He pulled out his phone, typed something, sent it. Somewhere, people were already moving, gathering information, assembling a file on a man who'd spent his whole life trying not to be noticed. Mercy Presbyterian was different from County General, the way a palace is different from a motel. Private room, soft lighting, a view of the city, nurses who smiled instead of just being efficient. Ethan lay in the expensive bed and stared at the expensive ceiling and thought about Sam, probably still in the ground, waiting for someone to dig him up. A knock on the door. James entered, carrying a tablet. Initial report on Samuel Johnson. James said. Already. You pay me to be fast, sir. Ethan sat up. Tell me. James consulted the tablet. Samuel Joseph Johnson, age 59, construction worker, employed by Miller Construction for the past 12 years. Before that, various contracting jobs. Never married. One daughter, Lucy Johnson, age 20, currently enrolled at State University. Medical history, diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 6 months ago, terminal. Prognosis was 4 to 8 months. Ethan's stomach twisted. He knew he was dying. Yes, sir. Family, just the daughter. Mother died when the child was young. Johnson raised her alone. Find her. I need to talk to her. We've located her. She's still at the university. We can have her here by morning. No, Ethan thought about it. Not yet. First I need to know what happened to him. Is he alive? James was quiet. James, they found him, sir. 2 hours ago. He's alive. Barely. They brought him here actually. He's in the ICU 4 floors down. Ethan was out of bed before James could object. His head spun, his vision blurred, but he kept moving. Sir, you shouldn't. Which floor? Sir, which floor? James, 3. But he's not conscious. The doctors say. Ethan was already at the door. He found the stairs, took them down, ignoring the protests from his body. The ICU was behind locked doors. He pressed the intercom. Can I help you? A nurse's voice, tinny through the speaker. I need to see Samuel Johnson. Are you family? Ethan hesitated. He saved my life. That's not the same thing. Please. A pause. Then the doors buzzed open. The ICU was quiet, machines beeping, monitors glowing, people dying slowly tended by strangers who'd seen it all before. A nurse met him at the desk. Young, kind eyes. Samuel Johnson, Ethan asked. She pointed down the hall. Room 7. But he's not responsive. He's been in a coma since they brought him in. Can I see him? 5 minutes. No more. Room 7 was at the end of the hall. Through the window, Ethan could see a figure in the bed, small and broken. He pushed open the door. The man in the bed didn't look like Sam. He looked like a skeleton wrapped in skin, tubes everywhere, machines breathing for him. His head was wrapped in bandages. His chest rose and fell, but only because a machine was making it. Ethan approached the bed slowly. Up close he could see Sam's face, bruised, swollen, but definitely him. I'm sorry, Ethan whispered. I'm so sorry. The machines beeped in response. Nothing else. Ethan pulled out Sam's phone. The screen was cracked but still working. He scrolled through the messages, looking for the daughter. Lucy. There, a whole thread of one-sided conversations. From Sam. Hope midterms went well. Let me know if you need anything. From Sam. Sent the tuition payment. Should clear by Friday. From Sam. Lucy. From Sam. Just checking in. Haven't heard from you in a while. and from Lucy, sparse and impersonal. Thanks, busy with school. Ethan scrolled further, found photos. Lucy at high school graduation, smiling. Sam in the background, slightly out of focus. Lucy's acceptance letter to State University. Lucy at her dorm, boxes everywhere. Sam helping carry them. In every photo, Sam looked proud. In every photo, Lucy was looking anywhere but at him. Ethan sat down in the chair next to Sam's bed. Your daughter, Ethan said to the unconscious man. You wanted me to tell her something, but I don't think she's going to care, and I don't think you would have wanted her to know that. The machines beeped. Ethan looked at Sam's face, at the peace there despite everything. So I'm going to do something else. Ethan said, I'm going to make sure she understands. Not by telling her, but by showing her. The way you should have shown her years ago. He stood, put the phone back in his pocket. Rest, Ethan said. I'll take care of this. He left the room, found James waiting in the hallway. I need you to do something else, Ethan said. Of course, sir. Don't tell Lucy her father's here. Not yet, sir. And find out everything about her. Her schedule, her friends, her habits, everything. May I ask? She's going to learn what her father sacrificed, but she's going to learn it the right way. James nodded slowly. Understood, sir. They walked back toward Ethan's room in silence. 3 days later, Ethan sat in his private room, Sam's phone in his hand. The hospital had cleared him to leave yesterday, but he'd stayed, told them he was still experiencing headaches, which was true. What he didn't tell them was that the headaches had nothing to do with the concussion. The phone had become an obsession. He'd read through every message, every email, every note. He'd looked at every photo, and with each swipe, each scroll, the picture became clearer. Samuel Johnson had loved his daughter completely, and his daughter had barely noticed. There were calendar reminders. Lucy's birthday 3 weeks. Tuition due. Call Lucy but not too often. That last one hurt. Call Lucy but not too often. As if a father needed permission to talk to his own daughter. As if love was something to be rationed. A soft knock on the door. James entered, carrying another tablet. The information you requested on Miss Johnson. James said. Ethan set down the phone. Tell me. Lucy Marie Johnson, 20 years old, sophomore at State University, studying pre-law, current GPA 3.6, lives in the campus dormitory, Whitman Hall, shares a room with another student, Madison Pierce. Social life, active, member of the Pre-Law Society, volunteers at the campus legal clinic twice a month, has a regular friend group, approximately 7 people, goes out most Friday and Saturday nights. Does she work? No, sir. Her father covers all expenses, tuition, housing, food, spending money, approximately $38,000 per year. Ethan did the math. $38,000 from a construction worker's salary. That meant Sam wasn't just working to survive. He was working to pay for a daughter who couldn't be bothered to call him back. When's the last time she contacted him? Ethan asked. James scrolled. 5 days ago. Text message asking about the tuition payment. That's it, just asking for money. Yes, sir. Ethan stood, walked to the window. Outside, the city was going about its business. People living their lives, unaware that 4 floors down, a man was dying alone because he'd given up everything for someone who didn't appreciate it. Where is she now? Ethan asked. Let me check. James tapped the tablet. Current location shows she's at the Mill. It's a coffee shop near campus. Popular student hangout. Ethan turned from the window. I want to see her. Sir, perhaps you should rest. I've rested enough. I want to see who Samuel Johnson gave his life for. The drive to campus took 20 minutes. Ethan sat in the back of the town car, watching the city transform from downtown high-rises to tree-lined streets to the sprawling campus of State University. The Mill was exactly what Ethan expected. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, students hunched over laptops, pretending to study while they scrolled through their phones. The smell of overpriced coffee and fresh pastries. That's her, James said quietly, nodding toward a table by the window. Lucy Johnson sat with 3 other students, laughing at something on someone's phone. She had her father's eyes, dark, observant. But where Sam's eyes had been tired, worn down by years of hard labor. Lucy's were bright, carefree, she was beautiful, young, alive in a way that only people who'd never really struggled could be. Ethan watched her for a long time, watched her laugh, watched her sip her coffee, watched her live a life that was only possible because somewhere, a man was dying. "What do you want to do, sir?" James asked. Ethan almost walked in, almost approached her table, almost said, "Your father is in the hospital. He sacrificed himself to save me. He has cancer. He has months to live, and you didn't even know." Almost, but then he remembered Sam's last words. "Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I loved her. Not tell her she should have called more. Not tell her she should have noticed. Just sorry, just love." Sam had protected her even in his dying moments, protected her from the guilt, from the knowledge of her own selfishness, and Ethan realized, telling her the truth would accomplish nothing. She'd feel guilty, yes, she'd cry, probably, she'd visit the hospital, hold her father's hand, say all the right things, but she wouldn't understand, wouldn't truly know what it meant to work yourself to death for someone who barely acknowledged your existence. "Sir," James prompted. Ethan turned away from the window. "We're leaving. You don't want to talk to her?" "Not yet. First she needs to learn something." They returned to the car. Ethan pulled out his phone, started making calls. By the time they reached the hospital, pieces were already moving. Ethan stood outside Whitman Hall, watching students stream in and out. It was Tuesday afternoon. According to James's research, Lucy had constitutional law at 2 p.m. She should be walking out any minute. He'd spent the past 2 days thinking, planning, trying to figure out the right approach, the ethical approach, if such a thing existed. He could tell her the truth, walk up, introduce himself, explain everything, her father's sacrifice, his terminal illness, the years of quiet suffering. But what then? She'd be devastated, certainly, guilty. She'd probably drop everything, rush to the hospital, spend every waking moment at her father's bedside, and Sam would hate that. Ethan had read through Sam's messages again last night, every single one carefully worded to avoid worry, to avoid being a burden. "Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Focus on your studies." Even dying, Sam's priority was protecting Lucy's happiness. The doors opened, students poured out, and there she was, Lucy Johnson, in jeans and a state sweatshirt, backpack slung over one shoulder. She was talking on her phone, laughing. "No, I know," she said into the phone. "He's totally bluffing. I'll just write the brief tonight, and yeah, hold on." She stopped walking, pulled out her other phone, Sam's phone, or rather the phone Sam paid for, checked a message, frowned. "Ugh, my dad," she said to whoever was on the other line, probably asking if I got the money he sent, like I'm 5 years old or something. She didn't text back, just put the phone away and kept walking. Ethan felt something cold settle in his chest. He followed at a distance. Lucy met up with friends. They walked across campus, still laughing, still carefree. They stopped at a food truck, bought lunch. Lucy paid with a card, Sam's card, probably, the one he'd given her for emergencies and essentials. Apparently $7 tacos qualified. They found a spot on the lawn, sat in the sun. Lucy pulled out her laptop, but instead of working she was shopping. Ethan could see the screen from where he stood. Designer clothes, shoes, a purse that cost more than Sam made in a week. She added them to her cart. Didn't buy them, but she thought about it. Ethan's hands clenched into fists. "Sir." James appeared at his elbow. "Perhaps we should go. In a minute. You're angry, wouldn't you be?" "Anger isn't productive, neither is this." Ethan gestured at Lucy, at the casual waist, the thoughtless privilege. She has no idea what he gave up for her. No, she doesn't. Someone should tell her. "Will you?" Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, because that was the question, wasn't it? Would he tell her? Would he walk over there right now, interrupt her lunch, and shatter her comfortable little world? He imagined it. Lucy's face as he explained, the shock, the denial, the eventual breakdown, tears on the lawn, while her friends watched. Then what? She'd rush to the hospital, see her father, broken and dying. She'd apologize, cry, promise to be better. And Sam, if he ever woke up, would tell her it was okay, would tell her not to worry, would protect her from consequences even as he lay dying. No, that wasn't right. Lucy didn't need to be told she was selfish. She needed to understand why, needed to feel what her father felt, needed to live, even for a moment, in his world. Telling her would be easy, showing her would be hard. But hard was the only thing that created real change. James, Ethan said. Yes, sir. I need you to set something up. Back at the hospital, Ethan sat in the chair beside Sam's bed. The older man hadn't changed, still unconscious, still breathing with the help of machines. The doctors had given their prognosis. Even if Sam woke up, and that was a big if, the cancer was too advanced. The trauma from the collapse had accelerated everything. Weeks maybe, months if they were lucky. I'm not going to tell her, Ethan said to the sleeping man. About the collapse I mean. Or about what you did. Not yet. The machines beeped their steady rhythm. She wouldn't understand. Not really. She'd feel guilty. But guilt isn't the same as understanding. Guilt is just guilt. It doesn't change people. It just makes them feel bad. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on his knees. But experience, that changes people. That's what you tried to teach her all these years, isn't it? By example. By working yourself to death so she could have a better life. Except she never saw the example, never understood the lesson. He stood, paced to the window. So I'm going to show her. I'm going to give her a week in your shoes. Let her feel what you felt. Let her understand what it costs to earn the life she's been living. He turned back to Sam. And then, I'll tell her the truth. When she's ready to hear it. A knock on the door. A nurse peeked in. Sorry to interrupt. Just checking vitals. Ethan stepped back. Let her work. She checked monitors. Adjusted an IV. Made notes on a chart. Any change? Ethan asked. I'm sorry, no, but he's stable. That's something. After she left, Ethan sat down again. Pulled out his phone. Started typing an email. To email protected from State University Scholarship Committee. Subject Emergency Scholarship. Opportunity. Dear Miss Johnson, congratulations, you have been selected for the Samuel Merit Scholarship, a new program designed to support promising pre-law students. Award amount $15,000, disbursement, upon completion of 1 week work requirement. Location, Miller Construction Site. Dates, next week Monday through Friday. Hours, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is a unique opportunity to gain real-world experience while earning scholarship funds. Please respond within 24 hours to confirm your participation. Best regards, State University Scholarship Committee. Ethan read it over, changed a few words, read it again. It was perfect, professional enough to seem legitimate, vague enough to avoid specific questions. His finger hovered over send. This was it, the point of no return. Once he sent this, he was committed. He was interfering in someone's life, manipulating them, all because he thought he knew better. But then he looked at Sam, looked at this man who'd given everything, and gotten nothing in return. Ethan pressed send. Lucy was in the middle of her criminal justice lecture when her phone buzzed. She ignored it. Professor Martinez had a strict no-phone policy, and Lucy actually liked this class. Plus she needed the grade. The phone buzzed again, and again. Martinez shot her a look. Lucy mouthed sorry, and silenced it. The lecture ended 45 minutes later. Lucy packed her laptop, checked her phone. 3 messages from Madison, her room. Omanji, check your email. Lucy, seriously, this is huge. Lucy frowned. Madison was prone to drama, but 3 messages in a row was unusual. She opened her email as she walked out of the lecture hall. The subject line made her stop in the middle of the corridor. Emergency scholarship opportunity. She read the email once, then again. $15,000, 1 week of work. That would cover her entire summer, maybe even the fall semester if she was careful. But construction. She read that part again. 1 week at a construction site. Did you see it? Madison appeared beside her, breathless. Please tell me you saw it. I saw it. And it's weird. Why would the university offer a scholarship that requires construction work? Who cares? It's 15 grand, Lucy. That's like a new laptop, spring break in Cabo, that internship in DC you wanted, but couldn't afford. Lucy kept reading. Something felt off. She'd never heard of the Samuel Merit Scholarship, and the email address looked official. But she pulled up the university website on her phone, navigated to financial aid, searched for the scholarship. Nothing. It's not listed, Lucy said. So it says it's new. They probably haven't updated the website yet. Maybe. Call them. Verify it if you're paranoid. But Lucy, seriously, this is exactly what you need. Your dad's been paying for everything, and you keep saying you want to be more independent. That was true. Lucy did want to be more independent. Hated asking her dad for money, even though he always sent it. Hated the subtle guilt that came with every payment notification. 1 week, Madison continued. 5 days, then you never have to ask your dad for anything again. At least not for a while. Lucy looked at the email again, looked at the number. $15,000. I'll call them, Lucy decided. Back in her dorm room, Lucy dialed the number listed in the email. It rang twice before someone picked up. State University Financial Aid. This is Karen speaking. Hi, I'm calling about a scholarship email I received. The Samuel Merit Scholarship. 1 moment please, hold music. Lucy waited, her foot tapping against the floor. Yes, hello, you're calling about the Samuel Scholarship, right? I just wanted to verify it's legitimate. I couldn't find it on the website. Oh, that's because it's privately funded. The donor prefers to remain anonymous, but they've partnered with the university to distribute the funds. It's all completely legitimate, I assure you. And the work requirement. Yes, the donor specifically requested that recipients demonstrate work ethic. 1 week at the designated job site. Proof of completion must be provided before scholarship funds are released. At a construction site, that's correct. That seems unusual. The donor has their reasons, but I can tell you we've thoroughly vetted the opportunity. It's safe, legal, and a fantastic addition to your resume. Real-world work experience is invaluable for law school applications. Lucy hadn't thought of that. A week of construction work would definitely make her stand out on applications. Show she wasn't afraid of hard work. How many students were selected? Lucy asked. Just you. This is a competitive merit-based award. The donor was very impressed with your academic record. Just her. Out of thousands of students. I need to think about it, Lucy said. Of course, but I do need confirmation by tomorrow morning. The work period starts Monday. Lucy thanked her and hung up, sat on her bed, staring at the email. $15,000, 1 week, 5 days, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Her phone buzzed, a text from her dad. How's school going? Everything okay? Lucy stared at the message. When was the last time she'd actually talked to him? Really talked, not just texts about money and logistics. A month ago? Longer? She started to type a reply. Stopped. What would she say? That she was busy? That school was fine? That she needed more money? The scholarship email was still open on her laptop. If she took this, she wouldn't have to ask him for money. At least not for a while. She could have her own funds, her own independence. Lucy pulled up her banking app, checked her balance. $273. Her dad deposited $500 every month for expenses. It used to feel like a lot. Now it barely covered coffee and food. She looked at her dad's text again, thought about calling him, actually talking to him for once. Tomorrow, she decided, she'd call him tomorrow. Lucy opened her email and hit reply. I accept. When do I start? Monday morning. 4:45 a.m. Lucy's alarm went off like a fire drill. She slapped it silent, immediately regretted accepting the scholarship. 4:45. She hadn't seen 4:45 a.m. since ever. Even her earliest classes didn't start until 9, but the email had been specific. Report to the construction site at 6:30 a.m., no exceptions, which meant she needed to leave by 5:30, which meant she needed to be awake now. Lucy dragged herself out of bed. Madison was still sleeping, one arm thrown over her face. Lucky. Madison didn't have to spend her week in manual labor. The bathroom mirror was unkind. Dark circles, messy hair. She looked exactly how she felt. The site address was on the east side of town, a 20-minute bus ride. Lucy had looked it up last night. An office building under construction. Miller Construction, the same company that she paused toothbrush halfway to her mouth. The same company that had the collapse last week. She'd seen it on the news. 2 men trapped, 1 rescued. 1, Lucy shook her head. Coincidence, had to be. She dressed in the clothes specified in the follow-up email. Jeans, steel-toed boots. She'd had to buy those $60, long-sleeve shirt, hair tied back. She looked ridiculous. The bus was empty except for a few other early risers. Workers mostly, heading to factories and warehouses. Lucy sat in the back, her head resting against the window. The construction site appeared as the sun was just starting to rise. Chain-link fence, trailers, piles of materials, men in hard hats already moving around like ants. Lucy's stomach twisted. A man was waiting at the entrance. Tall, broad, hard hat and clipboard. Lucy Johnson, that's me. Miller, I run this site. You're the scholarship girl. I guess so. You ever done construction before? No. Great. Miller didn't sound like he thought it was great. Come on, I'll show you where to clock in. The trailer was small and smelled like coffee and sawdust. Miller showed her the time clock, had her punch in. You'll be working with Jenkins today. Cleanup crew, moving materials, clearing debris, general labor. Okay, safety briefing is in 5 minutes. Don't touch anything you're not told to touch. Don't go anywhere you're not told to go. And if you feel like quitting, doors right there. Nobody's forcing you to stay. The way he said it made it clear he expected her to quit. Lucy lifted her chin. I won't quit. We'll see. Jenkins turned out to be a woman in her 40s, muscular and sunburned, with eyes that suggested she'd seen every type of person and wasn't impressed by any of them. You the college girl, Lucy, right? Lucy, here's how this works. I tell you to move something, you move it. I tell you to clean something, you clean it. I tell you to stop, you stop. Questions? No. Good. Grab those gloves. We start with the east corner. The first hour wasn't terrible, just moving wooden pallets from one area to another, heavy but manageable. Lucy's arms ached by the third pallet, but she kept going. The second hour was worse, cleaning up rubble from a demolished wall, concrete chunks, metal pieces, broken drywall, everything covered in dust that got in Lucy's eyes, her nose, her mouth. By the third hour, Lucy's back was screaming. Her hands, even with gloves, were developing blisters. The sun was fully up now, beating down on the site without mercy. Water break, Jenkins called. Lucy practically collapsed against a pile of materials, drank an entire bottle of water in seconds. Around her, other workers were talking, laughing, acting like this was normal. Jenkins sat down nearby, didn't look at Lucy. How you holding up? Fine. Lucy lied. Sure you are. You're about 3 minutes from crying. I'm not going to cry. Didn't say you would, just said you're close. Jenkins took a long drink from her own water. First day's always the hardest. Body's not used to it. How long have you been doing this? 16 years. Started when I was your age actually. Needed money for school. Did you finish school? I mean, nope. Turns out I'm better at this than I ever was at books, and it pays decent if you stick with it. Lucy looked around the site, at the workers covered in dust and sweat, at the dangerous equipment, at the half-built structure that could collapse at any moment. Doesn't seem decent, Lucy said. Jenkins laughed. Honey, this job pays $42 an hour. You know what that is yearly, about 87 grand. With overtime I cleared 100 last year. You gonna make that as a lawyer right out of school? Lucy hadn't thought about that, hadn't thought about what any of this actually paid. Break's over, Jenkins said, standing. Back to work. The afternoon was punishment, moving cinder blocks, sweeping dust, hauling bags of concrete mix, each task harder than the last. Lucy's body moved on autopilot, her mind somewhere else. By 3 p.m. she was done, completely done. Her hands were bleeding, her back felt broken, she could barely lift her arms. I need to stop, Lucy said. Jenkins looked at her. You quitting? I just need a break. You got your break 3 hours ago. I can't. Then quit. Punch out. Go home. But if you quit you don't come back, and you don't get the money. Lucy thought about the scholarship. $15,000. She'd only been here 8 hours, she had 4 more days, she couldn't do 4 more days. I'm done, Lucy said. I quit. Jenkins shrugged. Your choice. Lucy walked to the trailer, punched out, started toward the gate, then her phone rang. Her dad. Lucy stared at the screen. She hadn't called him back yesterday, or the day before, When was the last time they'd actually talked? She almost answered, almost told him about the scholarship, about how hard it was, about how she just quit. But if she told him he'd send her money, he always did. Even when she didn't ask, he found ways to give her more, and she'd be back to square one, dependent, asking for help. Lucy declined the call, stood at the gate, looking back at the construction site. All these people, working in the heat, breaking their bodies. For what? For $87,000 a year. For $42 an hour. Her dad had been a construction worker his whole life. Had he done this every day? For 37 years. Lucy pulled out her phone, checked her bank balance. Still $273. Rent was due next week. $600. Her dad would pay it, like he always did. She looked at her hands, at the blisters, at the blood. One day. She'd lasted one day and quit. Her dad had done this for 37 years. Lucy turned around, walked back to the trailer, punched back in. Jenkins was standing outside, arms crossed. Changed your mind? Yeah, why? Lucy looked at her hands. I don't know, I can't quit. Not yet. Jenkins studied her for a long moment, then nodded. All right, let's get back to work. The rest of the week was a blur of pain and exhaustion. Lucy woke up at 4:45 every morning, worked until 5 p.m., came home, showered, collapsed, repeat. By Wednesday, her body had adapted slightly. The blisters had hardened. Her muscles stopped screaming and started just aching. She could lift things without wanting to cry. By Friday she was actually keeping pace with the other workers. Jenkins had moved her from cleanup to material prep, which was harder but more interesting. Lucy was learning things. How to mix concrete, how to read blueprints, how to work as part of a team. Friday afternoon Miller appeared beside her. Scholarship week's done, he said. You completed your hours. Lucy set down the materials she'd been organizing. Really? Yeah, you can punch out. They'll process your scholarship by Monday. Lucy looked around the site, at the workers still going, at the building slowly taking shape, at Jenkins who gave her a small nod. Thanks, Lucy said to Miller. You did good, kid. Better than I expected. You ever want a summer job? We could use someone like you. Lucy walked to the trailer, punched out for the last time. On the time card she could see her hours, 7 to 5 every day, 50 hours total, 50 hours that had felt like 500. In the bus on the way back to campus, Lucy pulled out her phone. 3 missed calls from her dad, 2 voicemails. She listened to them. Hey sweetheart, just checking in. Call me when you get a chance. And Lucy, I know you're busy, but I'd like to hear your voice. Miss you. The messages were from days ago. She'd been too exhausted to call back. Lucy dialed. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Hey Dad, it's me. Sorry I missed your calls. I've been busy with something for school, but I'm good. I'll try to call you later. Love you. She hung up, looked out the window, at the city passing by, at the people in their cars, living their normal lives. For the first time in her life, Lucy understood something. Money wasn't just numbers in a bank account. It was hours. It was pain. It was sacrifice. And her dad had been sacrificing for 20 years to give her a life where she didn't have to. Monday morning, Lucy was in her contracts class when her phone buzzed. She'd started silencing it during lectures, a habit she'd picked up during her week at the construction site. Weird how 5 days of manual labor had changed some things. Class ended. Lucy checked her phone. Unknown number. She almost deleted it, then saw it was a voicemail. Miss Johnson, this is Mercy Presbyterian Hospital. We have an urgent matter to discuss regarding your father, Samuel Johnson. Please call us back at this number immediately. Lucy's heart stopped. The hospital, her dad. She dialed back, her hands shaking. Mercy Presbyterian, how may I direct your call? Someone just called me about my father, Samuel Johnson. One moment please. The hold music was excruciating. Lucy paced outside the lecture hall. Students flowed around her like water around a rock. No one noticed, no one cared. Miss Johnson. Yes, this is Nurse Callahan. Your father has been a patient here for the past 2 weeks. We've been trying to reach you. 2 weeks. Lucy's mind spun. 2 weeks. I didn't know why wasn't I called. We didn't have your contact information until recently. Miss Johnson, I think you should come to the hospital. Your father's condition it's serious. What happened? The doctor can explain better in person. Can you come today? Yes, I'll be there. Which floor? 3rd floor. ICU. Ask for Dr. Morrison. Lucy ran. She didn't call a cab, didn't wait for the bus. She just ran. The hospital was 2 miles away. She'd never run 2 miles in her life. Didn't matter. Her dad was in the hospital, had been for 2 weeks, and she didn't know. How did she not know? The ICU doors required a visitor's pass. A receptionist, an older woman with kind eyes, checked her ID. Samuel Johnson's daughter. Yes. Where is he? What happened? Room 7. But honey, you should talk to the doctor first. I need to see him. The doctor, now, please. The receptionist hesitated, then nodded. Down the hall. But I'm paging Dr. Morrison. Lucy walked down the corridor. Rooms with closed doors, machines beeping. The smell of antiseptic and something else, something final. Room 7. Through the window she could see a figure in the bed, small, broken. Lucy pushed open the door. The man in the bed didn't look like her father. He was thin, so thin. His head was wrapped in bandages, tubes everywhere, a machine breathing for him, the chest rising and falling in mechanical rhythm. But it was him. She could see it in his hands, the same hands that used to make her breakfast when she was little, the same hands that taught her to ride a bike, to tie her shoes, to write her name. Dad. Lucy's voice broke. No response, just the machines. Lucy approached the bed slowly. Up close she could see bruises, cuts that were healing, signs of trauma everywhere. What happened to you? She whispered. Miss Johnson. Lucy turned. A young doctor stood in the doorway, clipboard in hand. I'm Dr. Morrison. I've been treating your father. What happened? Dr. Morrison gestured to the hallway. Perhaps we should talk outside. No, tell me now, what happened to him? The doctor sighed. There was a construction site collapse 2 weeks ago. Your father was trapped. By the time rescue crews reached him, he'd sustained significant trauma, multiple fractures, internal bleeding, head injury. But he's alive. Yes, we managed to stabilize him. But Miss Johnson, there's something else you need to know. Your father has stage 4 lung cancer. Terminal. Even without the collapse his prognosis was limited. Lucy's legs gave out. She grabbed the bed rail for support. Cancer. He was diagnosed 6 months ago. According to his medical records, he declined most treatment. Said he couldn't afford to take time off work. That's not, why didn't he tell me? Dr. Morrison didn't answer. Didn't need to. How long does he have? Lucy asked. Hard to say. The trauma accelerated the progression. Weeks maybe. Perhaps a month or 2. Has he been conscious at all? No. He's been in a coma since the collapse. Lucy looked at her father. At this stranger who'd raised her. Who'd worked himself to death for her. Who'd hidden his cancer so she wouldn't worry. I need to know what happened, Lucy said. The collapse. How did it happen? There was another man with him. A young engineer. He was rescued first. Where is he? Can I talk to him? Dr. Morrison hesitated. He left instructions not to be contacted. But he's been covering all of your father's medical expenses. Everything. This is the best hospital in the city, Miss Johnson. The care your father's receiving, it's not cheap. Who is he? I can't say. Patient confidentiality. My father is dying and some stranger is paying for it and you can't tell me who. I'm sorry. Lucy wanted to argue, wanted to demand answers, but what was the point? Her father was dying. Nothing else mattered. She pulled a chair close to the bed, sat down, took her father's hand. It was cold. I'm sorry, Lucy whispered. I'm so sorry. The door opened. Lucy looked up, expecting Dr. Morrison. Instead a young man stood there, late 20s, professional looking. There was a bandage on his forehead, mostly healed. Lucy, he said, who are you? My name is Ethan. I was with your father when the collapse happened. Lucy stood. You're the one who got rescued. Yes. What happened down there? Ethan stepped into the room, closed the door behind him. We were inspecting the foundation. Your father noticed structural issues. We were about to leave when it collapsed, and the rescue team could only stabilize one exit point. The structure was too unstable. They could save one person at a time. Ethan's voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed something deeper. Your father insisted they take me first. Why? Because I was younger, because I had my whole life ahead of me, because that's the kind of man he was. Lucy's hands clenched into fists. You let him stay, you let him die so you could live. I didn't want to. I tried to refuse, but he was already dying, Lucy. The cancer. He told me he had months left anyway. He made it seem like he was giving up nothing. But he wasn't giving up nothing. He was giving up the time he had left. I know. Then why? Ethan moved to the other side of the bed, looked down at Sam. Because he loved you. Because every decision he ever made was about you. And in that moment saving someone's son seemed more important than his own life. Lucy sank back into the chair. He never told me about the cancer, about anything. He didn't want you to worry, didn't want to be a burden. A burden. He's my father. I know, but that's not how he saw it. Ethan pulled out a phone, Sam's phone. I've been reading through his messages, every payment he made, every text he sent. He spent the last 6 months of his life making sure you had everything you needed while he was dying alone. Ethan handed her the phone. Lucy scrolled through, saw the messages her dad had sent, the ones she'd barely responded to, the reminders about tuition, the check-ins she'd ignored. Oh God, Lucy whispered. There's something else you should know, Ethan said. The scholarship, the one at the construction site. What about it? It wasn't real. There is no Samuel Merritt scholarship. I created it. I paid for it. I wanted you to understand what your father's life was like. Lucy looked up sharply. You what? You needed to see it, to feel it. Working yourself to exhaustion every day for money that disappears as fast as you make it. That was your father's entire life, and he did it for you. You had no right. You're right. I didn't, but your father saved my life, and he asked me to tell you something. Ethan's voice softened. He said to tell you he was sorry, that he loved you more than anything, that he tried to do right by you. Tears streamed down Lucy's face. I didn't know any of this. He didn't want you to know, that was the problem. He protected you so much that you never understood what protection cost. Lucy looked at her father, at the machines keeping him alive, at the body that had worked itself to death. Is he going to wake up? Lucy asked. The doctors don't know. His brain activity is minimal, but he's stable, for now. Lucy squeezed her father's hand. Dad, can you hear me? It's Lucy. I'm here. I'm right here. Nothing, just the machines. I'm sorry, Lucy said. I'm sorry I didn't call more. I'm sorry I didn't see what you were doing. I'm sorry I was so selfish. Still nothing. Please wake up, please. I need to tell you I understand now. I need to tell you thank you. I need to tell you. Sam's hand moved, just slightly, just a twitch. Lucy gasped. Dad. His eyes opened, slowly, like someone waking from a very long sleep. He looked around confused. The breathing tube prevented him from talking, but his eyes found Lucy, and something in them changed, recognized her. Lucy laughed through her tears. Dad, oh my God, Dad. Sam's other hand moved, weak, shaking, reaching for her. Lucy grabbed it, held it tight. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. Behind her, Ethan quietly left the room. This moment wasn't for him. This was for a father and daughter who'd lost years to silence and were finding them again in the shadow of death. The discharge papers sat on the small table beside Sam's hospital bed. Dr. Morrison had signed them this morning, his expression a careful mix of professional calm and something else, something sadder. 2 weeks, the doctor had said quietly to Lucy in the hallway. Maybe 3, if we're lucky. The cancer is moving fast now. The trauma from the collapse accelerated everything. Lucy had nodded, unable to speak. Now she stood at the window of room 7, watching the parking lot below. A van was pulling up, medical transport. They'd load her father into it, take him home, set him up in the living room because he couldn't manage stairs anymore. Home. The small house on the south side where Sam had lived for 37 years, where he'd raised Lucy alone after Margaret died, where he'd hidden his cancer for 6 months, taking pills in secret, coughing blood into tissues he burned in the backyard, so Lucy would never know. Lucy, she turned, Sam was awake watching her from the bed. 3 weeks since the collapse and he looked like a different person. Thin didn't even begin to describe it. The hospital gown hung off him like fabric on a skeleton. His head, once full of graying hair, was nearly bald now from the chemotherapy they'd started too late to matter. But his eyes were clear, alert, and when he looked at her there was something in them Lucy had never seen before. Peace. Hey, Dad. Lucy came to his bedside, sat in the chair she'd occupied almost constantly for 3 weeks. Transport's here. You ready to go home? More than ready. Sam's voice was raspy, damaged from the breathing tube. I hate hospitals. Smell like dying. Dad, it's okay. I can say it. He smiled slightly. I am dying. We both know it. Might as well be honest about it. Lucy felt tears threatening. She'd cried more in the past 3 weeks than in the past 3 years. You don't have to joke. Who's joking? I'm going home, Lucy. That's something to be happy about. 2 nurses entered with a wheelchair. They were gentle, professional, helping Sam from the bed into the chair with practiced efficiency. He winced during the transfer, couldn't hide it, but didn't complain. All set, Mr. Johnson, one of them said. Your chariot awaits. The ride down in the elevator was quiet. Sam looked around at the hospital corridors like he was memorizing them, or saying goodbye. Lucy pushed the wheelchair, her hands gripping the handles tight enough to hurt. Outside, the November air was cold and sharp. Sam breathed it in deeply, closed his eyes. Fresh air, he said. Real air, not that recycled hospital stuff. The medical transport driver helped load Sam into the van. Lucy climbed in beside him. The doors closed and they pulled away from Mercy Presbyterian. Through the window, Lucy watched the city pass by. Familiar streets, familiar buildings. Everything looked different now, sharper somehow, more real. Sam was quiet during the ride, his hand resting on the armrest. Lucy reached over and took it. His skin was cold, thin as paper. She could feel every bone. He squeezed back, weakly, but he squeezed. 20 minutes later they pulled up in front of the small house. Lucy's throat tightened seeing it. How many times had she driven past this house without stopping? How many times had she been too busy to visit? The house looked smaller than she remembered, older. The paint was peeling, the porch sagged slightly, the lawn needed mowing, but it was home. The hospice nurse was already there, a kind-faced woman in her 50s named Patricia. She'd helped set up the living room. A hospital bed dominated the space now, positioned so Sam could see out the window. Medical equipment lined the walls, oxygen, monitors, everything needed to keep someone comfortable while they died. Getting Sam from the van to the bed took effort. He could barely walk, now even with support. By the time they had him settled, he was exhausted, breathing hard. Patricia checked his vitals, adjusted his oxygen, made notes on her tablet. I'll be back this evening, she said to Lucy. You have my number if anything changes. Don't hesitate to call. After she left, the house fell silent. Lucy stood in the middle of the living room, suddenly unsure what to do. She'd taken care of her father in the hospital, but that was different. There were nurses, doctors, call buttons. Here it was just them. Lucy, she turned. Sam was watching her, a small smile on his face. Come sit with me. Tell me about the construction work. Lucy pulled a chair close to his bed. You want to hear about that? I want to hear everything. So she told him. About Jenkins, the gruff foreman who turned out to have a good heart. About learning to read blueprints. About the other workers who'd accepted her once they saw she wasn't going to quit. About coming home every night, exhausted, muscles screaming, and finally understanding what her father had done for decades. Sam listened, his eyes never leaving her face. Jenkins offered me a summer job, Lucy said. When I go back to school in January I can work there during breaks. You're going back in January if that's okay, Lucy. Of course it's okay. You need to finish school. That's important. You're important. Sam reached for her hand. I'll be fine. Patricia will check in. And Ethan said he'd visit. At the mention of Ethan, Lucy felt a complicated mix of emotions. Gratitude, anger, confusion. I still can't believe what he did, Lucy said. The fake scholarship, making me work construction, that was manipulative. It was also necessary. Sam's voice was gentle. You needed to see Lucy. really see, and I was too much of a coward to show you myself. You're not a coward. I hid my cancer from you for 6 months. I let you think everything was fine while I was dying. That's cowardice. That's protection. Same thing sometimes. Sam coughed, a wet rattling sound. Lucy reached for the water cup, helped him take small sips. When the coughing subsided, he continued. I spent your whole life trying to protect you from hard things, from worry, from knowing how much we struggled. I thought I was being a good father. You were a good father. I was an okay father. A good father would have been honest, would have taught you that life is hard and that's okay. That struggle builds character. That money costs something. Sam paused, gathering strength. Ethan understood that. He showed you in 1 week what I failed to show you in 20 years. Lucy blinked back tears. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry I was so blind, so selfish. You were young. You were supposed to be selfish. That's what being young means. Sam squeezed her hand. But now you're growing up. I can see it. The way you talk about work, the way you think about things. You're becoming the person I always hoped you'd be. I'm trying. I know. And I'm proud of you. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Outside, the neighbor was raking leaves. The sound was rhythmic, peaceful. Dad, Lucy said quietly. Yeah, sweetheart. Tell me about Mom. Sam's expression softened. What do you want to know? Everything. I was so young when she died. I remember pieces but not enough. So Sam talked. About meeting Margaret at a diner when he was 23. About their first date, a movie neither of them could remember because they talked through the whole thing. About the wedding at the courthouse because they couldn't afford anything fancy. About finding out they were having Lucy and being terrified and excited all at once. Your mother was the strong one, Sam said. I was just a construction worker. High school diploma and calloused hands. But she saw something in me. Believed I could be a good father even when I didn't believe it myself. You were a good father, Lucy said again. I tried. After she died I had no idea what I was doing. You were 9 years old and crying every night, and I couldn't make it better, couldn't fix it. All I could do was hold you and promise that we'd be okay. We were okay, eventually. Sam looked at her. You look like her, you know. Same eyes, same smile. Sometimes I'd look at you and forget for a second that she was gone. I wish I remembered her better. She loved you so much, Lucy. Used to sit in your room while you slept just watching you breathe. She'd come to bed at midnight and I'd ask her what she was doing and she'd say, making sure she's real. Making sure we really get to keep her. Sam's eyes were wet now. When she got sick, the thing that scared her most wasn't dying. It was leaving you, leaving me to raise you alone. But you did it. I did my best. Your best was enough, Dad. More than enough. They talked for hours. Sam told stories Lucy had never heard. About her first steps, her first words, her first day of kindergarten, when she cried and clung to his leg until he promised he'd be there at pickup. About the time she fell off her bike and needed stitches and Sam had to pull over twice on the way to the hospital because he was crying too hard to drive. About high school graduation when he sat in the audience alone and felt Margaret's absence like a physical ache, but also felt proud, so proud that they'd made it. I keep thinking about all the things I won't see, Sam said as the afternoon light faded to evening. Your law school graduation, your first case, your wedding someday if you decide you want that. Grandkids maybe. Dad, don't. It's okay. I've made peace with it. Sam looked out the window at the darkening sky. I won't see those things, but you'll live them, and that's enough for me. Patricia returned at 6 to check vitals and administer medication. After she left, Lucy made dinner, soup, because that's all Sam could manage now. She helped him eat, patient when his hands shook too much to hold the spoon. I can feed myself, Sam protested weakly. I know, but let me help anyway. After dinner, Lucy helped him to the bathroom, waited outside, helped him back to bed. The indignity of it showed on his face, but he didn't complain. This is going to get worse, Sam said as Lucy adjusted his pillows. I'm going to need more help with everything. I don't want you to have to. Dad, I'm not going anywhere. Whatever you need, I'm here. You're 20 years old, you should be out with friends, living your life. I am living my life, right here. Sam's eyes filled with tears. He didn't try to hide them. I don't deserve you. Yes you do. That night, Lucy slept on the couch, close enough to hear if Sam needed anything. She woke up several times, checking to make sure he was still breathing, still there. In the morning she made coffee and helped Sam sit up in bed. His color was better than yesterday. Or maybe she was just getting used to seeing him like this. "What do you want to do today?" Lucy asked. "Just this, just being home with you. That's enough." So they spent the day together. Lucy read to him from the newspaper. They watched old movies on the TV she'd set up at the foot of his bed. They talked about small things, comfortable things, the way people do when they know time is short and nothing needs to be urgent anymore. Ethan visited in the afternoon bringing groceries and flowers. "Thought you might need some supplies," Ethan said, setting bags on the kitchen counter. "You didn't have to do that," Lucy said. "I know." Sam watched from his bed as they put groceries away. "Ethan, come here." Ethan approached the bed. "How are you feeling, sir?" "Like I'm dying, but comfortable." Sam smiled. "Thank you, for everything. For the hospital, for Lucy, for giving me time I shouldn't have had. You gave me my life. This is the least I can do." "No, the least you could do is nothing. This is more. This is kindness." Sam reached for Ethan's hand. "You're a good man. Don't waste the time I gave you. Call your brother. Make things right." "I did. Last week. We're having dinner next month." "Good. That's good." Sam's grip weakened. "Take care of Lucy, when I'm gone. Not financially, she won't let you do that. But just, make sure she's okay." "I will. I promise." Ethan stayed for an hour, talking with Sam about construction, about business, about life. Lucy watched them together and felt grateful. Her father hadn't had many friends. The work was too demanding, the hours too long. But in his last weeks he had this connection, understanding. The days fell into a rhythm. Lucy woke early, helped Sam with morning routines, made breakfast. They spent mornings talking or watching TV. Afternoons Sam usually slept while Lucy did housework or sat beside him reading. Patricia came twice a day. Ethan visited most afternoons. Jenkins stopped by once with flowers and an awkward but genuine, "We're thinking about you." Sam was getting weaker. Lucy could see it. Each day he ate less, talked less, slept more. But when he was awake, when his eyes were clear, he was present, really present in a way he'd never been before. One afternoon a week after coming home, Sam asked Lucy to bring him something from upstairs. "My closet," he said. "Top shelf. There's a shoebox." Lucy climbed the stairs to his bedroom. She hadn't been up here since she was a kid. The room was exactly as she remembered. Simple, clean, a photo of Margaret on the nightstand. She found the shoebox and brought it down. "Open it," Sam said. Inside were letters, dozens of them, all addressed to Lucy in Sam's careful handwriting, all unopened. "What are these?" Lucy asked. "Letters I wrote to you over the years. Started when your mom died. I'd write them when things got hard, when I missed her, when I was proud of you, when I was scared I was failing you." Sam watched her face. "I never sent them because I didn't want to burden you, but now I think, maybe you should have them, for after." Lucy's hands shook as she picked up the first letter. The date on the envelope was 11 years old. "Don't read them now," Sam said gently. "Save them, for when you need them." "Okay." Lucy carefully closed the box, set it aside. "Thank you. There's something else in there." At the bottom, Lucy looked. Beneath the letters was another envelope, thicker. She pulled it out. "That's the deed to this house," Sam said. "It's paid off. Been paid off, for 5 years. I want you to have it, Dad. It's not much, but it's yours. Sell it if you want. Keep it if you want, but it's yours. You'll never have to worry about rent or a mortgage. You'll always have a place." Lucy couldn't speak, could only hold the envelope and cry. "Don't cry, sweetheart. This is a good thing. This is me taking care of you one last time." That night after Patricia left and Sam was sleeping, Lucy sat at the kitchen table and opened the first letter. "Dear Lucy, you turned 10 today. We had cake, just the two of us. You blew out the candles and I made a wish because I know you're supposed to, but I couldn't help myself. I wished that you'd always be this happy, this full of life. You don't know this, but I cried in the bathroom after you went to bed. Your mom should have been here. She should have seen you blow out those candles. She should have been the one to make you smile like that. I'm trying, baby girl. I'm trying so hard to be enough for you. Some days I think I'm doing okay. Other days I'm sure I'm failing. But I promise you this, I will always love you. I will always do my best, even when my best isn't very good. Love, Dad. Lucy read through the night. Letter after letter, years of her father's heart poured onto paper. His fears, his hopes, his love. By morning she understood. He'd been there all along. She just hadn't seen it. Sam died on a Tuesday morning. Peaceful, quiet, the way he'd lived. Lucy was holding his hand. Patricia was checking vitals. The monitors showed his heart rate slowing, then stopping. I'm so sorry, Patricia said softly. Lucy nodded, unable to speak. She kept holding his hand, even after it went cold, even after Patricia gently suggested she let go. Ethan arrived within the hour. Lucy didn't remember calling him, but she must have. He stood in the doorway of the living room looking at Sam's still form in the hospital bed. I'll make the arrangements, Ethan said quietly. You don't have to worry about anything. I can handle it. I know you can, but you don't have to. The funeral was small, just Lucy, Ethan Jenkins, a few guys from the construction site, and Patricia. Sam had specifically requested no fuss in a letter Lucy found with the others. When I die, don't make a big production out of it. I lived a simple life. Let me leave the same way. Just you and whoever else wants to say goodbye. That's enough. They buried him next to Margaret. The headstone was simple. Samuel Joseph Johnson, 1966 to 2025. Beloved father. He lived for others. After the funeral, Lucy went back to the small house alone. Ethan had offered to stay, but she'd said no. She needed to be alone with her grief. She sat in the living room where the hospital bed had been. Patricia had arranged for it to be removed the day after Sam died. The room looked empty now. Wrong. Lucy's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello, Miss Johnson. This is Robert Chen from Miller Construction. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you. I know this is a difficult time, but I wanted to let you know the job is still yours. Whenever you're ready to come back, I appreciate that. Also, there's been a development regarding your father's accident. The investigation concluded it was a structural failure, not negligence. There's a settlement being offered. It's substantial. I'll have our attorney contact you with details. After he hung up, Lucy sat in silence. A settlement, money, the thing her father had worked himself to death for, now coming too late to matter. 3 days later, Ethan called. Can I come by? There's something I need to talk to you about. He arrived that afternoon carrying a leather folder. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Lucy had eaten breakfast with her father countless times as a child. How are you doing? Ethan asked. I don't know yet. Ask me in a month. Lucy looked at the folder. What's this about? Ethan opened the folder, pulled out papers. I've been thinking a lot about your father, about what he stood for, about the workers like him who break their bodies for minimum wage and die without anyone noticing. Okay, I want to do something about it, something meaningful. Ethan slid papers across the table. I've been working with my lawyers. I want to create a foundation, the Samuel Johnson Foundation for Working Families. Lucy looked at the papers, mission statements, proposed programs, budget allocations. This would provide legal services for workers who can't afford representation. Ethan continued. Job training programs, educational scholarships, medical assistance for workers injured on the job. Everything your father needed but never had. That's a lot. I'm committing $20 million to start, more as needed. Ethan looked at her. But I don't want to run it. I want you to. Lucy's head snapped up. What? You're going to law school. You understand what workers face because you've done the work. You know what your father sacrificed. You're perfect for this. I'm 20 years old. I haven't even finished my undergraduate degree. So we'll hire an executive director to handle day-to-day operations. But you'll be on the board. Help guide the vision. Make sure we're honoring your father's memory the right way. Ethan leaned forward. Lucy, your father saved my life. I've spent the last 2 months trying to figure out how to honor that. This is it. This is how we make his death mean something. His death already meant something. I know. But this way it means something for more than just us. Lucy looked at the papers, looked at Ethan's earnest face, looked around the small kitchen where her father had made her breakfast before school every morning for 18 years. I need time to think about it. Of course, take all the time you need. But as Ethan left, Lucy already knew her answer. A week later she called him. I'm in, but I have conditions. Name them. First, we don't just focus on legal services, we help with immediate needs. Food, rent, medical bills, the things that can't wait for lawsuits to settle. Agreed. Second, we hire from the community, workers who've been there, people who understand. Makes sense. Third, we don't name it after my father. Ethan paused. Why not? Because my father spent his whole life invisible. Let's honor that. Make this about the work, not about him. Call it the Working Families Foundation or something like that. Lucy, please. He wouldn't want the attention. You know that. After a long moment, Ethan nodded. Okay, the Working Families Foundation it is. They spent the next month planning. Ethan brought in lawyers, accountants, non-profit experts. Lucy deferred law school for a full year, threw herself into the work. They found a building on the east side, small but functional. Ground floor for legal clinics and social services. Second floor for job training and community programs. Lucy worked with Jenkins to develop the construction training program. Worked with Patricia to create healthcare navigation services. Worked with a local lawyer to set up legal aid. Your father would be proud, Ethan said one afternoon, as they toured the nearly finished space. I hope so. I know so. The grand opening was in February. Small ceremony, local news, workers from Miller Construction, families from the neighborhood. Lucy stood at the podium, looking out at faces that reminded her of her father. Tired, weathered, strong. 3 months ago my father died, Lucy began. Her voice was steady now. She'd practiced this. Samuel Johnson was a construction worker. He spent 37 years building things for other people, while his own life stayed small. But his life wasn't small. It was full of sacrifice, full of the kind of quiet heroism that happens every day and nobody notices. This center exists because one man chose to save a stranger instead of himself, because that stranger felt a debt that couldn't be repaid, because I finally understood what my father gave up for me. We're here to help working families, to provide legal services, job training, medical assistance, all the things that people need but can't afford. My father never asked for help, died thinking he had to do everything alone. We're here to make sure nobody else has to make that choice. If you're struggling, come here. If you need help, we're here. Because my father taught me something in his death that I failed to learn in his life. We're connected. When we help each other, we save each other. And that's how we honor the people who saved us. After the ceremony, people came through. Workers asking about legal help. Parents asking about job training. Families needing assistance with medical bills. Lucy worked until midnight, talking to every person, taking every name, promising help. Ethan found her at her desk at 1 a.m., still making notes. You should go home, he said. In a minute, I just need to finish. Lucy, Ethan's voice was gentle. This is going to be here tomorrow, and the day after. You don't have to fix everything tonight. Lucy set down her pen, looked around the office, at the photos on the wall, community members, workers, her father's face among them, young and smiling in a photo she'd found from 20 years ago. He would have loved this, Lucy said quietly. Yeah, he would have. I wish he could have seen it. He can, somewhere. Ethan smiled. And he's proud. I know he is. Lucy stood, gathered her things. At the door she paused and looked back. The office was quiet now, empty, but it didn't feel empty. It felt full of purpose, full of hope, full of her father's legacy, finally visible after 37 years of being unseen. Good night, Dad, Lucy whispered. And somewhere, in whatever comes after, Samuel Johnson smiled. 6 months later, Lucy stood in line at the coffee shop near campus, her backpack heavy with law school textbooks. She'd finally started in the fall semester, balancing classes with her work at the foundation. It was hard, exhausting. Some days she wasn't sure she could do both, but she was doing it anyway. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Board meeting moved to Thursday. Hope that works. She texted back, works for me. Ethan had been true to his word. The foundation was thriving. They'd helped 200 families in 6 months, prevented evictions, negotiated medical debt, provided legal representation for workers injured on the job, and they were expanding, opening a second location across town, hiring more staff, making real change. Lucy got her coffee and walked back to campus. November was giving way to December. Almost a year since her father died. She missed him every day, sometimes so much it physically hurt. But she was okay, more than okay. She was living the life he'd wanted for her. School, purpose, helping people. At her apartment, she'd kept the small house but rented a place closer to campus. Lucy dropped her backpack and pulled out the shoebox of letters. She'd been reading 1 letter a week, rationing them, making them last. This week's letter was from 5 years ago. Dear Lucy, you got into State University today, full acceptance. When I saw the envelope I knew before you opened it. You screamed so loud the neighbors probably heard. I didn't tell you this, but I cried. Happy tears, proud tears. Your mom would have been so proud. I'm not going to be able to pay for all of it. The scholarships help, but there's still so much. I'll figure it out. I always do. I just want you to have the chances I never had. The education, the opportunities, the life. Even if it means I have to work until I drop. Even if it means we drift apart. Even if it means you forget about me someday. It's worth it. You're worth it. Love always, Dad. Lucy closed the letter carefully, put it back in the box. I didn't forget, Dad, she said to the empty room. I finally remembered. Outside her window, the city lights glowed. Somewhere out there, workers were ending their shifts, tired, worn down, going home to families who needed them. Lucy thought about them, about her father, about all the invisible people who built the world while the world forgot about them. She picked up her phone and called Jenkins. Hey, it's Lucy. I know it's late, but I had an idea for the foundation. What if we created a scholarship program for children of construction workers, help them get to college without their parents having to? She trailed off, but Jenkins understood. Without killing themselves to pay for it. Jenkins finished. I think that's a great idea. We could call it the Margaret and Samuel Johnson Memorial Scholarship. Your dad would like that. Yeah, Lucy said softly. He would. After hanging up, Lucy opened her laptop and started drafting the proposal. She worked until 3 a.m., fueled by coffee and purpose and love. And in the quiet hours before dawn, in a city full of tired workers and struggling families and people trying to build better lives, one young woman worked to honor the father who'd given her everything. Not by being perfect, not by never struggling, but by remembering, and by making sure his sacrifice meant something beyond just her own life. Because that's what love required, and that's what her father had taught her, in the end, not with words, but with everything he'd done, everything he'd given, everything he'd been.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.